Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to day 5, the final chapter in this story. Pretty straightforward workout. This is actually a different gym that we went to today on the day of this recording. Started with overhead press, and I didn't do a lot of warming up for overhead. Just kind of started with a lighter weight and jumped straight into working into my working sets. So the bars were a little bit different. The setup was a little bit different, but it's good to have a little bit of change of scenery when you're working out. It definitely helps to have a couple different gyms you can kind of cycle through, I think. So worked up to 135, and it's just two working sets, or warm-up sets rather, and I got straight into 135. Hitting that for 5 repetitions, so the first exercise of the workout is a 5x5 overhead press. I have only hit a 5x5 at 135, I think one other time in all of my training. I don't overhead press a lot, and I don't really do a lot of pressing in general. I've been doing a lot more of it through this program, though, and it's been feeling really good. So just going through this program for the full iteration of several weeks, and I'm to that point where about as strong overhead as I've ever been. I'm hoping for a 300-plus pound jerk in the near future, so stay tuned for that. This felt good, though. I mean, tore the shoulders up. A lot of upper back for stabilization, a lot of core. The overhead press is a great movement, and it's one of the movements that I think people are the weakest at in relation to their body weight or in relation to their other lifts. It gets neglected a lot, but the benefits are absolutely incredible. I was really focusing on squeezing the shoulder blades together to clear the weight kind of through that sticking point there when it's just clearing my head. By pulling and retracting the shoulder blades back together, I really worked to stabilize the thoracic spine, and it gave me something to press off of, and was able to get through all 5 reps without cheating any reps or having to knock the weight down or anything else. So this was actually heavier than the program called for by doing a full 135 pounds, but certainly not impressive by any stretch of the imagination. My press has always been one of my weaker lifts. After the 5x5 overhead move into front squat, I had 45s on the bar, so I just used those to kind of warm up a little bit. Shoulders were a little bit pumped after the overhead press, so this wasn't easy to get into the front rack position. So one of these sets here where I add a little bit more weight, I actually throw on a belt and some wraps just to help me get tight into position and not feel like my joints are getting so beat up. But threw another 45 on, took it for another couple reps or so, just kind of feeling things out. I was a little bit sore through the hips and kind of the upper thighs here, the adductors and whatnot, so definitely was not pleasant going through this. Front squatting is one of the most miserable lifts. You guys know how I feel about that. I mean, it's wonderful for you, but it isn't comfortable by any stretch of the imagination. So there we go with the 225, 5x5. Got my wrist wraps on just for some extra stability. I try to get a nice closed grip. I'm not in the fingertips on the bar. I actually close my hand all the way around, and that forces a lot of flexion through the elbow and a lot of thoracic spine extension. And it's just very, very tight all the way through. Usually about the time I get through a 5x5 on my front squat, I'm actually feeling pretty good as far as the front rack position is concerned. So if I ever went to PR my front squat, I think I would spend a good long time warming up, just because there's not really a better warm-up for getting into these positions than, wait for it, getting into these positions, right? Go figure, right? I think this is my last set here. Maybe one more, I think, actually, after this is set number 4. About probably 1.5 to 2 minute rest period in between these sets, just kind of how it goes. It depends on how heavy or hard the exercise is, how long I'll take between sets, but there's nothing wrong with taking a couple of minutes, getting your mind right, grabbing a drink of water, whatever you got to do, and just putting in the time. Really working on staying upright through my squatting as much as possible, not caving over and letting the back take over, trying to balance out the back and the hips, with that leg drive, just to ensure that I'm staying in a good stable position and that it translates well into my clean, into my snatch, and the Olympic lifts that I really care about. Next exercise, a lot of lower body, just like a good weightlifting program should be, is a box squat. I left the 2 plates on the bar, got my box set up just below my knee. So by weightlifting standards, a rather high squat, but it allows me to really overload kind of that top part of the movement, get some heavy weight on my shoulders, lock my upper back into position, and just work on being explosive coming up and out of the squat. 3 plates here for 315 is still a warm-up set. My working weight was 365 for today for a 5x5. A lot of volume. All the 4 exercises I did today were 5x5s. This beat me up. I felt really good afterward, but very tired, very depleted, which is exactly what you want from a good workout here. So went ahead and threw on my powerlifting belt, and this is my first working set. 365, staying tight, not letting that back, specifically the upper back, collapse when I hit the box. When I come down to sit down, I'm not rounding over, dropping my shoulders, or letting my elbows come out of position. I'm actually gripping the bar really, really tight with a good closed grip, keeping the upper back very tight, shoulder blades retracted, just working on balancing the weight, cueing that core, breathing into the belt, and really driving up through the legs, keeping those knees out, as you can maybe see in the mirrors if you put your spectacles on. So just kind of slaving away here. These plates were huge. I mean, 365 took up like the whole bar, so felt super strong, but that's really not that heavy, all things considered, right? Set number 4 here, I believe. Fairly easy. I really like box squatting. The next program I run, I'm going to be working on more just squatting in general, probably sans box, just to help me in the pocket have strength coming out of the hole, some pause squats, some squat and a halves and whatnot. So I'm not sure I'm going to film my next program. Kind of remains to be seen. I'm just going to keep going through it, and maybe after a month or two, I'll kind of film some different things, film some PR attempts or something, and see how far I've come. I don't want to film every workout for the rest of my life, but this program was just designed to kind of give people an idea, probably all 7 people out there that have seen it and have actually gotten something from it, kind of encourage them and give them an idea of some programming ideas as far as Olympic weightlifting, what you should do every day in the gym. It's not enough just to know what movements to do and to be good at those movements. You need to know how to put them all together day by day to make a progressive program. Then you need to stick with it long enough to actually see those adaptations happen. So that's the final set there. Felt pretty good. Jumping into the final exercise of the workout and of this entire program, and it's a bent over barbell row. Now, the rest of the time I've been doing this program, I've actually been doing like a powerlifting row, but today I did more of a weightlifting style, which we call a Penlay row, named after the man who invented it or popularized that training method. It's basically from the ground, trying to touch like the xiphoid process or the bottom of the breastbone, essentially. So I'm kind of pulling from the ground to the chest. This was 255 pounds. I just wanted to get under, or over rather, something heavy. And this certainly wasn't easy. So a little bit more body English than you would maybe see in a regular Penlay row, but I'm trying to keep my back fairly level, definitely straight and fairly level with the floor. And I'm trying not to get too much angle out of my shins as I actually row it. I'm not squatting back underneath it or anything else. So just working on that good stable position. And this really translates well into the upper back, keeping your upper back explosive, your pull nice and strong, that spine nice and integrated, ensuring that you're able to, finish your clean when you pull underneath, your snatch, get it all the way overhead and stabilize. A lot of good carryover, a lot of good translation, just loading the whole posterior chain and then adding that dynamic portion into the upper back. So hope you guys enjoyed this little journey with me that I've taken here. Go back and watch day 1's video for the entire program in the description. Make sure and leave a thumbs up if you've appreciated these videos. And if you have any questions, just drop them down below and we'll holler back at you. Thanks, guys.